Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 15 of Changing
Changing
the
the narrative.
Narrative. And Lizzie and I just quickly decided that we were going to pivot because
Yeah.
poor Lizzie has spent 8 hours on a drive with the family. I just think of the Brady Bunch episodes of when the family used to like pack into the station wagon and with their Venetian blinds in the back and go on their little adventures. I will tell you, actually, Lizzie, last time I went to California, I did
Mhm.
visit the Brady Bunch house, and there's a
Really?
new owner of the Brady Bunch house, and they bought the car, the old station wagon,
No
wooden
way.
panel station wagon, and they parked it out the front of the
That's
Brady
crazy.
Bunch house. So they're buying into the fact that, memorabilia people come there, they want to see it, they want to
Yeah.
feel it. But those road trips, that is that and vacation. What's the vacation one? Chevy Chase. National Lampoon's Vacations.
Yes. Yep.
The
Yep.
Christmas one especially holds a special place in my heart. But when they, tied the grandmother to the top of the roof and rode across America, and coincidentally, you went to visit Grandma.
I did not actually. Not this
Oh,
time. I
oh,
go see my grandma all the time, but she's not nearly that far away.
oh,
Um, my original spring break plan, because it is just mid-March when we're recording this episode, my original spring break plan was actually to go to Qatar, to visit my cousin Emily, but unfortunately, just because of all the unsafe activity that's been happening in the region of the world,
thanks.
we decided to postpone. So that was actually going to be me and my mom and my aunt and my uncle going to see one of my cousins. So this time we actually got to go down. My mom, my dad, and I just took a significantly smaller trip to Branson, Missouri. So another tourist trap, but a very fun one. We got to celebrate my dad's 60th while we were down there. So it was fun. We almost got along the whole time. It was crazy. It was a really great time for us.
Except for the ride home when you didn't really understand that a 60-year-old man's prostate needs to be relieved regularly.
I need you to not ever talk to me about my father's prostate ever again. Okay, thank you.
Well, that's going to be the least of your fears during this episode, Lizzie, because we are about to tackle dating online. And as Lizzie was making the trek back from Branson, Missouri, and I have to ask you, Lizzie, there's two forms of Missouri that I used to hear. I used to hear a lot of Missouri, and I used to
Mhm.
hear a lot of Missouri. So, like, what is it? You're the English
So
major.
if you're looking at it from the state name specific, it's Missouri. But if you're looking at it from the attitude perspective, I say it's misery.
Right. Neither
Yeah.
of them are Missouri, which is what the question was.
No, I don't soften the end vowel sound. I do not.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
I actually did a TikTok today where I talked about the correct pronunciation of Murray and how Australians pronounce the R and you pronounce the So a lot of people will
Mari.
call me Murray,
Yeah.
Murray, with the U and the
Mari.
R as a But
Yeah.
in the name, it's a double R, which cancels out the and
Mm.
makes it an R.
Okay, noted. I'll try
There's
and
there's
remember
some
that.
real English for you, baby.
Yeah, I'll try and remember that. I don't really know in what world Missouri, even if it was like a short I vowel sound, it would be Missouri,
Yeah.
not Missouri. So, but
Well,
I'm
that's what
not
it
from there,
used
so
to
I'm not
be.
here
It
to
used to probably
judge.
be Missouri, Missouri, and then it like the yeah. I understand.
Yeah, we're not from there, so we won't we
We are
won't
not.
pretend to understand the native people
No.
to that community. So we'll
But
we'll
I
let
will
them do their
tell
thing.
you that I got an email today from the president of NFB Iowa, which is where you are from, and
Helen?
they want us to come and do blind tennis at the Iowa State NFB convention. And I said to my people who are interning for me, I'm like, I know the perfect person to run a blind tennis demonstration at the Iowa State convention. And
You,
I'm
you
looking at
no,
her.
no, 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 hold on. You heard from Helen today?
I did.
Wait, that's so wild. Okay, fun. I'd be so down. I might need some support, but I'll do my best.
I'll do some online training with you. We'll get you up and running. It's going to be fantastic.
Great, sold. I
All right.
volunteered for you.
So today's topic is online dating. We did get a
Oh,
good response to the dating, which I think was episode 4.
yeah, it's very
And
early on.
So now it's episode 15. We need to follow up on that because people are lonely. People are out there. I see a lot of people who are like, okay, how do I find my significant other? And so today will be a public service announcement, predominantly by Lizzie, because I have been married for 24 years and I have not been on many dating sites recently.
Yeah.
So, Lizzie, I do want you to tell me about this. It was funny though, because on Lizzie's way to her vacation, I did send her some
You
feedback
did.
that I got from TikTok and
You
this
did.
message, and I actually took a photo of the TikTok post saying how she would describe Hinge, which is actually the program that Lizzie's using currently, and it was
Yes.
basically that these are the most miserable men on the earth, and everything they supply, and enjoy your life. Basically, what did she say? They were something like dive bombers, like emotional dive bombers, or
One of
something.
them was a love bomber.
Love bomber, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I will tell you, I don't know if my Hinge experience has exactly lined up with her feedback. But I will do my best to paint a true picture. And I honestly think that that all kind of starts with why did I get back on dating apps? Because I haven't been on dating apps since I was in college. I think I got off of them like right around the time that the COVID-19 pandemic started because I was like, I'm not inviting more of these weirdos into my house. I will tell you though, the best pre-pandemic dating story that I've got, because I only met two dudes from online apps in public. One of them was a Tinder guy and one of them was a Bumble guy. Um, I'm pretty sure the guy that I met from Tinder was tweaking on cocaine when I met him. He was very twitchy.
I was going to say
Um,
the Tinder gene pool is not what it could be.
yeah.
Like it's fun to
And
swipe left or right. Everyone loves to swipe
well,
left or
and here's my thing is I did it in a very safe way. I met him with like multiple of my friends. Like he and two of his friends came to meet me and like two or three of my friends, like public place on our college campus. Like I'm
good
not
move.
an idiot, right? I wasn't gonna get
Yeah,
murdered.
good move.
Um, so then Bumble, the only guy I ever met from Bumble, you're gonna love this. Do you know the app Trivia Crack?
Yes.
Okay, so me and this man hung out one time. This was like very beginning of the pandemic. He came to my house and it was the most awkward like 2 hours of my life. I'm pretty sure we literally communicated with each other more directly through the Trivia Crack app from within the same room than we
Mm.
did verbally in the entire 2 hours that we spent time together. We
Sounds
literally
very
just spent
stimulating.
challenging each other back and forth on Trivia
Mm.
Crack.
General knowledge date. Good job.
Yeah, it was it was really cute. I am happy to say I do not know how the cocaine fella is doing. But I do know that my friend from Bumble is happily engaged now.
Yay,
So
Bumble.
super happy for him. I have no idea if that's how they met, but
Oh,
a
well, you
friend
need
of
to
mine
find
is a
out.
friend of
You need to
his.
find out. That's important information.
I'll text
Because
my friend Matt and report back.
then there was something about this girl that was able to cope with his social awkwardness where you were not, obviously.
And that's okay. You know, I think we'll get to this part of my story, but like one of my favorite things to like put out into the universe, right? Power of positive thought is even when somebody is not my person, I like to believe they are somebody's person, right? So unmatching people, swiping left, whatever you want to call it, like my thought is always, I hope you find your person. I just don't think that person is me, right? So I think that's a very healthy
You and your
way
soft
to
landings, I love them.
literally, I'm such a wimp. Um, so
You're
why
like
did
the
I get
politically correct dumper, is that's what I'll call you, is like a politically correct dumper.
I really actually kind of vibe with that, unfortunately for me. So why did I get back on the dating apps after these great life experiences? Really simple truth is one of my friends texted me and was like, I need to see your Tinder profile. And I was like, sir, I have not been on Tinder in half of a decade. I don't have my Tinder profile. And then I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, oh, I hate it when he's right. Because I was like, all I do is work. And unless I want to date one of my students' dads, that's not really a vibe.
I thought you were going to say
Um,
student then, and I was like, let's not go there.
no, 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 no. Students' dads, that's not a vibe. I do grad school, which is totally online, and I spend time with my family, and I every once in a while will go out with like my girlfriends in public. But honestly, like let's be real, Men in 2026 don't approach groups of women, right? Probably for their own safety and good measure, right? No judgment here. But I mean, I'm not a bar person. I'm not, that's just not my vibe.
Yeah.
Um, so I just decided, I was
Grocery
like, it's
shopping? Do you
fine.
do your own grocery shopping or you let mum do it?
I will often go grocery shopping, but I'm usually with my mom.
Right.
Yeah. So, to each their own. Some people would approach a mother and a daughter and do the whole like, you two look like sisters. And then I'd have to make fun of him forever. So that's
Right.
just, I don't know if that would work for us.
Yeah.
That is such a joke,
Are,
though.
are
My
you
mom
giving
is
off that approachable vibe in the grocery store? That's the key.
apparently, but my mom is absolutely gorgeous. So honestly, like if I look like my mom when I'm 60
Right.
some years old, I'll
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah,
thriving.
you'll
I'll
be
be great.
happy.
Yeah. I'll be beyond happy.
Wait, so
Um,
your dad's 7 years younger than your mum, huh?
No, I said 60 something because I
Oh,
realized
I thought you said
halfway through that I couldn't
67.
disclose a woman's age.
Right.
hmm My
We
dad
both
is a
drank at
little
the
bit,
same time, Lizzie. That's
we're so
we
synchronized.
are.
What are you drinking?
Mountain Dew.
Okay,
It's a
I would
Friday
rather be
afternoon, girl, and
sponsored.
I need some caffeine.
I would rather be sponsored by apple juice than Mountain Dew personally.
Okay, well, each to their
But
own.
we'll work on it. We'll
Yeah,
work on it.
you'll be
Um,
flat after your 8 hour trip, and I'll be energized. So, hey, happy Friday evening
Honestly,
to you.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I am probably gonna take a shower and maybe unpack my bag, and then I low key might like go to bed. I'm very tired. I did not sleep very good in our Airbnb last night. Um, okay, so I downloaded Hinge because I was like over the Tinder Bumble vibes.
Okay,
And
now before we go into that, I
okay,
need to
bring
ask
this.
because
Yeah,
you're the expert, right?
yeah,
We all know kind of Tinder, right?
yep,
Reputation is for
yep,
real, dregs of the earth type of thing.
yes.
Uh, Bumble.
hmm
I do have a friend in Australia who has used Bumble
hmm
and didn't mind it too much, but did get ghosted a couple of times.
Well, and
So,
the big thing with Bumble, the trademark for Bumble is women have to message first. And
ah,
I've reached a point in my 20s where I I can only be outgoing so often that sometimes like I need, and this goes with my friends, this goes with romantic partners, this goes with everybody. I need people to show initiative, right? Like the
right.
worst kind of human beings in my life are the people who are like, "Oh my God, we never talk anymore. You never text me." And I'm like, "You do know that you could text me, right?" Like that
Right.
drives me nuts. So that was why I decided not Bumble this time.
Okay. And so when you were deciding not Bumble, not definitely not Tinder,
Mhm.
what made you decide to go with Hinge, and what
Mhm.
were the other options that you were considering?
Honestly, I don't really know of any besides Facebook dating.
Mm.
I feel like Hinge, Bumble, and Tinder are like the big three, unless you get into like more of a niche community, right? Like Christian Mingle or like farmersonly.com or whatever, right? I mean, there's a
And I
site out there
definitely
for
did not
everyone.
know that there was a farmersonly.com. But what I will tell you is back in the day, there used to be like the big one that was very reputable and very serious for people who wanted to get married was eHarmony. Is that still a thing? Do you know about that?
I do believe eHarmony is still a thing, but honestly, Murray, I don't know. Like, I'm not opposed to long term like my end goal, and you're gonna make fun of me for this, but like this is a big thing for me.
Yeah,
My end goal is I would love to bring someone home to meet my family on the holidays. I've never done that. I had a boyfriend at one point come home like around Christmas, but it was not like, oh, he's here on Christmas Eve kind of thing.
right.
um I am not opposed to the idea of marriage. I am also not one of those late 20s women that's like, oh my gosh, my clock is ticking. I'm gonna die, right? Like one of my best
That's
friends
how
told
I
me all the
was when I was
time,
25, when I was 28. I
you thought
suddenly
your
got to
clock was
28 and
ticking?
thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be 30 and I don't have a girlfriend. I'm not like committed. I need to get my life together. And I have a like before 30 and after 30 story where I was just like, living life till I
Yeah.
was 28 and then thought, geez, I've done nothing. I need to like do all these things before I'm 30. And so my midlife crisis actually come at 30. And it
Can
was
we
just,
like normalize like a third life crisis? I don't want your
yeah,
midlife crisis because that
well,
means you're
yeah,
only going to live to like
right.
60, and I
I
would
know. I
like you
was
to
just
run
thinking
longer
that
than
as I
that.
said it, which is not cool. I don't have long to go. I need to make the most of it. But
For real.
But it's one of those things, right, that catches up on people. And I just think it's funny now, like, like you said, you're not a bar person, but I think that's so true of most people now is like,
Yeah.
back when I was young, we used to go to the bar and we used to meet people and we used to do more social things because we didn't have the screens, we didn't have the
Yep.
online stuff, all this stuff. So the only way you could go and meet someone was to go and meet somebody, right?
And I
So
think part of that is a lost art. Like
yeah,
if I could go back and do that, I would so much, I think genuinely rather do that.
yeah,
I just don't think there's enough people who are willing to go out and do like I mean even if you think of like singles mixers, right? Like if you live in an urban enough area, you can get 250 to 300 to 400 whatever like single someone's in their 20s together
mm,
for like a singles event. That's not my vibe. It's just not somewhere that I'm going to go by myself. And usually then you get yourself back into, well, if I'm there with friends, is anybody going to approach me and what's that going to look like? And
yeah.
it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's ugh. Dating
So
in general is ugh.
So this brings me to my big question, because obviously, look, we listened widely across the blind community and low
Mhm.
vision community.
Yep.
Here's the big question, Lizzie. Right? Would you date someone with low vision or blindness? And if the answer is yes or no, what do you think are the considerations for you as a person? And we always talk about, hey, we're just individuals, right? But I think it's a topic that was worth discussing because a lot of people are thinking about this, right? Is I get this cross section of people who I interact with on social media who are
Yep.
like, man, I want to find someone who just really gets me and really understands what my daily
Yeah.
struggles are. And so for that, yes, I think, dating or marriage between two people with blindness or low vision can be very good. But then
Yeah.
I think, man, you're in a bubble then to some degree, right?
Yes.
And you're putting yourself in a bubble to some degree. And like we talked about in our last episode with friendship networks, right? Just having one aspect of your life that takes that focus is maybe something that's not healthy for you. And so I'm really interested in your opinion on that.
So I can speak for myself from experience and also from like future intent. If you would have asked me this question in high school, I would have said totally sighted or bust, right? And I think that I had a little bit of that like I need someone to take care of me
Right.
mentality, right? Not
Yeah.
even necessarily from like strictly a blindness perspective, but like
Yeah.
I'm the woman, men need to face this reality head on. Somebody breaks into my house, I'm not going to investigate. Like I'm taking the cat and I'm hiding in the closet. Okay. I might take a gun with me, but like
Right.
I'm not going to be that person.
They're like, go
Um,
get the cricket bat.
Literally. And I think the perspective in me has shifted in that now I know, the person who grabs the gun and goes to investigate could just as easily be a blind man as it could be a sighted man.
Yeah.
Um, I have dated, in my consideration of like boyfriends, I have dated two-sided guys and three blind guys. So I'm a pretty even split. And honestly, I think in all of those relationships, what it came down to me, it was friendship and mutual respect. I have never experienced success in dating somebody who wasn't one of my friends first. And that can make finding that friendship footing after the fact tricky. But I think the people who are willing to grow and change alongside you show themselves. And those that aren't do as well. So the very simple reality is blind or sighted, it doesn't matter to me as long as he is a good person who lives life the way that, he believes is true and authentic. And, you know, somebody that I can call a friend and share that mutual respect and appreciation with.
So have you dated a person with blindness and low vision at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just told you. My connection might have broken up. I have a 2 to 3 sighted to blind
Okay.
breakdown. So one of my exes from college is sighted, and another one is blind. And then I dated a sighted guy shortly after college, and then two other blind guys throughout my 20s, later
Okay.
20s.
Now, next question.
Yes.
Comfortability, right?
Hmm.
Comfortability dating someone with blindness or low vision versus
Hmm.
comfortability dating someone who's sighted. I can see you just taking a big breath there. You're thinking it all in. I'm excited to hear
Um,
the response. Like
I
reality wise, and I know like this is making you a bit vulnerable, so sorry for putting you on the spot. And
No,
I'll
that's
go
okay.
next because I've also done the same,
Yeah,
right? Uh,
yeah.
what are those things that like your self consciousness thinks about and internalizes when you're dating someone who's fully sighted versus someone who isn't?
I think there's as many serious or as many surface level answers as we want to dig into here. I think dating in general kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies sometimes. Doesn't matter who he is or what characteristics he has. Um, I think I'm a lot more sensitive about the visual things with a
Mm-hmm.
sighted person than I am with a blind person, i.e., if we go to a restaurant and I tip something over, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, oh God, that's so embarrassing.
Right.
Um, but like I also think that there's some accountability to stay like present in the air quotes here real world.
Yeah.
Um, with a sighted partner that I don't always have with a blind partner, right? And I'll tie this directly to like a conversation that I've had very recently with one of the men that I've met on Hinge. Um, I don't have to explain ableism to a blind person, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of blind people have experienced it for themselves,
Yeah.
whether they call it that or not. Um, I oftentimes will have to explain that to a sighted person. And I think there's a level of frustration in me when, like, people, right? Again, I don't care if it's a partner or a friend or whoever, is like, there's no way that doesn't happen. Like, what are you talking about? And then they go to a restaurant with me and a waiter or waitress says to them, well, what does she want to drink?
Right.
Right? Or just like goofy, like microaggressive stuff that I'm so used to
Yeah.
that I don't hesitate. She'd like unsweetened iced tea. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Right? Like it rolls off the tongue because I'm so used to handling it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think those are kind of the big immediate answers, right? Is I think there's that automatic, I can kind of get away with some of the goofy like blindness stuff with a blind partner that I can't with a sighted partner.
Yeah.
However, um, there's also a lot of conveniences in having a sighted partner that you don't have with a blind partner, right? And I'm not even talking about driving. I'm talking about, hey, did you know that there's something, on your shirt? Can I get that for you? Or
Yeah.
or hey, I have to buy something for my dad for his birthday. Do you want to go walk around Farm and Fleet or whatever and see what we can find? He needs a new sweatshirt. Whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It really just depends. And I think both have their pluses and both, admittedly, have their drawbacks. And you just have to figure out if the person on the opposite end of that relationship as you is worth celebrating the eases and plowing through the distressors.
Good answer. Yeah, I think that's really true.
Yeah.
And having gone through that route as well in dating women with blindness and low vision and dating sighted women, I think you are um, you are definitely more at ease with someone who's has low vision. There's
Hmm.
things that you don't have to be as considered of, and maybe that's not a good thing, right? Maybe it's like you were saying, is like you like to be challenged, right? And so you like
Hmm.
to be the best person that you can be, and sometimes you have to make more of an effort with someone
Hmm.
who's sighted than you might do with someone who has low vision. Now, that shouldn't be the case, I don't think, but
Hmm.
naturally, that's what happens subconsciously to some degree. And I would say that might be true.
Yeah. And I think honestly, it's a lot about the effort you put in and the self-respect that you have for you, right? I
Yeah,
mean, like I can say, "Oh, I don't have to put on makeup when I go out with so and so because he can't see." Murray, I very rarely, if ever, wear makeup. when I
Yeah.
go out with a sighted guy. That's just not me as a person. Like I have gotten to the point in my adult life where if a dude can't handle me with my hair up in a ponytail and basketball shorts, or just kidding, I don't actually, I own one pair of basketball shorts, and I wear them to sleep. And running shorts was the words that I meant to have leave my mouth, because we're going on a walk and it's
Right.
80 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Homie doesn't deserve me in anything else, right? Like it's just that simple. I want to be with somebody that I feel comfortable watching Netflix on the couch when I'm sick and, taking home for Christmas to meet my grandma, right? Like that should be a person that I feel comfortable with in every version of myself. And that includes the blind moments. It includes the awkward reality that I have really sweaty hands. It is every piece of me, right?
Yeah.
And that's hard. I don't care who the other person is. That can be really scary. Dating sucks.
Yeah. And like I've been around you a bit, and like you're a very kind of touchy feely person, right? You like
I'm
to,
a lover.
yeah, but like just in
Yeah.
general, like I think you're personable, right? And
Yeah.
so when you're that type of person, and I'm that type of person as well, I think that's probably why we get along so well. But
Yeah.
it um it's hard then at times to be able to want to pull back
Yes.
when you have that, and sometimes you're made to feel like you're needy when it's just your personality, and I think like that's a challenge. And I come across people as well that I think, hey, you are a really nice person, um,
Yep.
but there's some insecurities, and those insecurities are taking over what you do in front of others in that dating phase, that kind of, okay, maybe it's a red flag, but you're actually a good person. And so I think like that happens a lot, right? Where
Yeah.
people are good people, but things are like triggers
Yep.
for them. And then it's hard to repress the triggers, right? Because either you've been through that situation enough and it keeps happening, or you don't know how to deal with that situation. And maybe that's why relationships broke up. Like I'm interested in that part as well, because for me, like relationship, when I see people giving relationship advice, I see people who are just like their whole life is a complete, cluster, and
Yep.
they're giving relationship advice on how to do it, and they're not actually dating, which is laughable to me, right? Is like, okay, if you haven't got your crap together, you probably shouldn't be talking about what you need to do. But as a person, I think, man, we struggle so much, and there's so much anxiety and pressure to be perfect. And the littlest thing now, I watched a television show a couple of years ago where two people sat down and speed dated, and they got to press a red button if something was like off, right, with the other person. And I think the most that people lasted out of about 10 couples was probably about 3 minutes. And that just tells
Yeah.
you in itself, right, how much our expectations are. And there's like a big stat at the moment about guys really getting away from asking women out because they've been so demoralized recently in certain instances where they just can't handle the rejection anymore. And I'm sure that that is true for women as well.
Yeah.
Um, and because I think for a long time it was the other way around, and the gender neutral stuff
Yes.
and the changes in that around the work culture and different aspects of
Yeah.
culture. Now there's an expectation that, hey, you have to be at a certain level or you're going to get rejected, and vice versa. I think so now trying to find that dynamic is even harder than it's ever been. And I'm certainly glad I'm not dating because I would probably not do well
Yeah.
in people right now.
Well, and here's the couple things that I will toss out to you. And I think that I'm really glad we're returning to this topic, not only just because like we're gonna get to the surface level, like hee funny stuff, right? That I've experienced just in the last 3 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, there's also just so much to unpack here. Like literally, Murray, I was counting in just what you like within the last 2 minutes said to me, three really important things came up. Let's see how many of them I can remember. Okay.
Okay.
One, yes, I think that there has been a shift in dating where like men are taking a step back right now. Okay. I think part of that is women feel empowered to speak their minds in a
Right.
way in 2026 that we didn't in 2016 and frankly in 2006 and probably in 1996 and every decade beforehand. Um, I personally, right, just me as a human being, I don't think that entitles me to be unnecessarily mean unless a man is making me physically uncomfortable, right?
Sure.
Like if there is something that is like a whoop, nope, like this is how I
Yeah.
end up in a ditch, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then all bets are off. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, like catfishing works both ways, and people have to be comfortable with themselves, which brings me to point number one and a half. Okay. The people who could, should, whatever ood you want to use, be giving relationship advice, in my opinion, are the people who have realized that they are a complete version of themselves. People who think that they need to be in a relationship to be complete have
Yeah.
no business being in a relationship. You need to
Yeah.
find someone who complements you,
Yeah.
not someone who completes you. And
That's
that's
really true.
hard.
I
That's
want to
hard.
unpack that for just a second. So please remember your third point because I'm
I'll
going
do
to.
my best.
But that's such an important point you make. If
Yeah.
you aren't happy with yourself, you can
Yep.
never be in a successful relationship, or very rarely, unless you're diminishing yourself and counteracting what that other person wants. There's so many, and honestly, it is so hard to be totally happy with yourself these days because there's so many pressures, there's so many weights on you as a person to be this or to be that, and man, it gets tiring. Like you know, in the societal approach to being a full person and what's expected of you in the workplace, in the home, in the family environment, whatever it is in your friendship groups, just dealing with that shit is hard enough, right? Like,
Well, and honestly, Murray, I would even push back on that and say I don't think anybody should be 100% satisfied with who they are because then you're stagnant, right?
right,
Like,
you
don't we
never,
always
yeah,
want to be able to grow? I think the key is, am I satisfied enough that bringing somebody else into my inner circle will not throw off my orbit to the point where I'm no longer a version of me that I can take pride in? Because the reality of the matter is, and I expect this in my friends, I expect this in my partners, I expect this in my parents, right? The people who are closest to you should always want you to be the best version of yourself. And sometimes that requires some pushing and some shoving and some nudging and some pulling, right? I mean, when I dropped out of law school and I was the most depressed I've ever been in my life, my mom was the one who said, "Okay, dude, I've given you like 3 months. Now it's time to figure out what comes next. What are you going to do?"
yeah.
You
And you
know?
need that person in your life, right? Who
And if
can,
you're stubborn like me, you need multiple.
right? But it's so true. It's, like our expectation is, man, I'll tell you, like I'm probably one of the more active people you will find, right? I do
Yeah.
my own business and sports and, all the rest of the stuff. And
Yeah.
that I need that because my mind, gets mushy if I don't do these things, right? And so for me, I know that it makes me more productive and makes me a better human when I'm busy and I'm doing. But some days, man, I just want to sit in my lounge chair and watch baseball or watch
Yep.
football, right? And eat crappy food and drink soda, right? Uh,
Yep.
and
As he
so,
drinks a Mountain Dew. Uh-huh.
yeah, hence, it's Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon. Come on, give me a
I
break.
respect the hustle. I just it's
Ah,
not my poison of choice.
right. Um, and I just think like that is important to know who you are, right? What makes you tick, and and really like what are the important things to make you tick. And this goes back to another earlier podcast that we've done, and I see it. So I saw it today when I was talking to somebody on TikTok, and I'm like, your vision does not define who you are. And I see people with blindness and low vision who are demoralized internally because of the vision loss or what they're going through on a day-to-day basis and what they've been through, and they have given up, right? They don't have the strength anymore or the ability to fight. And there was one woman today who was posting, and I don't know this person, but I was watching her message, and she was saying, man, I used to be such a confident person, And then I had vision loss and I just have no confidence anymore. And, you know, I really wanted to jump through the screen and grab her by the throat and say, you are who you've always been. And
Yeah.
your loss of vision should not define your confidence or who you think you are today because of sight. And I said to her, and again, I've never messaged with her before, but I, you know, was on my horse and had to make a statement. And I said, tell me, when you were confident, was it because you thought the only reason you had confidence was because you had vision? I bet it wasn't. So what made you confident, right? And so this is the thing that, you know, I think you're a very confident person, right? And there's not enough of you in the community. There, I'm seeing more and more, which is great, you know.
Yeah.
But the reason that I resonate with you is because, man, you've done it, right? You have got a job, you fought your way through school, you have done the hard things in life to overcome the challenges that you've had, right? And so
Yeah.
I have a degree of, uh, you know, relation to you when people say to me, young kids who are 18, 16, they say, well, how did you become a CEO? Because I worked hard, right?
Literally. Yeah.
I did the things when I got a job to make the best impression and built my career by working hard and doing the right things. Like there's no easy answer to
Yeah.
being what you want to be, right? It's hard work. You got to keep going and believe in yourself and have that degree of self-confidence where you can put
Mhm.
yourself out to fail. And we've both failed heaps of times, right? And we've talked about
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
failures. And that's important as well because without failure, you can't have success. But you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah. Well, and I think honestly that gets to the other point, right, that I was referring to earlier because I didn't forget it. Score. Um,
Good girl.
you also have to learn how to communicate. And we talk about communication in the realm of professionalism and, relationships with our friends and relationships with our mentors. You also have to be able to communicate about who you are as a person and what you want in a relationship and what you don't want in a relationship,
Yeah,
right? I think of the really big topics, for me early on in a relationship, it's if a dude hasn't picked up on the fact that I can't see yet, I'm not willing to meet somebody in person who doesn't know that that's coming, right?
sure. Yeah,
It's just not my vibe. I think it's a surprise that I'm not willing to put on somebody,
yeah.
or frankly, a risk that I'm willing to take.
And you talked
Um,
about, you know, putting your cane in your profile and taking a picture with
yes.
your cane, you know, and
Yeah,
that kind of stuck with me. It's like, okay, well, at least you feel comfortable and confident in
literally. Yeah.
yourself as a person to portray yourself as someone with vision loss.
And let's be honest, the reality of the matter is there's no way I'm freaking hiding it. So if that man isn't cool with it when he swipes right on my profile, he's
Right.
probably not going to be cool with it the first time he shows
When
up
you
to a
spring it on
date.
him out of the blue, right?
Or even 6 weeks down the road, we've gone on a couple dates and I start bringing my cane, right? Like first of all, I'm probably going to get a concussion on like date number 2. So it's communication, but it's I mean beyond that, it's do you want to have kids?
Yeah,
Do you believe in God? What's your relationship like with your family?
yeah,
Uh, what are your most important values, right? Why do you like your job? Why do you hate your job? And are you willing to do something different to change your life if you're not happy in your current job? It's
yeah.
so many of those hard conversations, those real conversations. And I'm jumping ahead here, okay, to one of my first Hinge dates. Um,
But slow it down because you know I've got a lot to say about the hinge
Don't
stuff.
worry, we're gonna go back to just a rapid review of me setting up my profile. I'll give you a teaser. One of my first Hinge dates, I went on 3 dates with this guy, and by date number 3, I realized he was a very immature communicator.
Yeah,
And that was a deal breaker for me. I
yeah.
literally could not do it because I was like, you're a 32-year-old man. You are
Now,
supposed to
hang
be
on.
as
I
mature
need
as
to
a
ask a
man.
qualifying question.
Yes.
Before you came to that conclusion, did you tell him that you read 110 books the year before?
I
Because
think so.
that's
Yeah.
intimidating, my friend. I mean, you know, when you're talking at your level of being a teacher and reading 110 books a year, okay, that's not normal. So your degree of
Yes.
a mature communicator might need to come down a little bit in order to be able to converse on
When
the
I
level.
no 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 no. If I lowered the bar for this man, it would be below the ground. Okay,
Okay,
no.
All right,
Um,
just
we'll we'll get
clarifying questions.
we'll get to him in a minute, but the answer to your question is yes. And I frankly think I even sent him a screenshot of my most recently read books because he wanted to know what kind of books that I was into.
Right.
Um, so to
Now,
each their own, you
I'm
know.
not gonna I'm not going to not going to expressly tell you about this, but there was a woman that I was interested in at one point, and she gave me a book that was totally above my pay grade of reading, but I was actually so interested in her that I read this book in 2 days,
Mhm.
and I honestly didn't love the book so much,
What was the
but
book?
it was a Jane Austen book. I'll leave
Pride
it
and
at that.
Prejudice?
I'll leave it at that.
What is it, Pride and Prejudice?
I'll leave it at that.
I
No,
had a
it
man
wasn't.
unironically self-refer to himself as I've been compared to Mr. Darcy, and I was like,
No,
ow!
it wasn't Pride and
I
Prejudice.
love Pride and Prejudice though.
Yeah, but like if you're if you're really interested, okay, one, it's a good thing to ask what books are you reading, but two, then
Yeah,
you listen to one of those books because then you'll be able to start a conversation or be at
yeah.
least understanding a little bit more at her level of what her expectation is.
Well, for the record, if a man asks me for a book recommendation, I give him The Outsiders, which is a young adult gang story from like the 1970s.
Yes,
So if he can't get through that, homie didn't pass seventh grade.
right.
So
Do you call all your men homies just out of curiosity? Because that's interesting.
I low key think it's a little bit of a red flag if a man's like, I need you to not call me bro. Like if I can't call a guy dude, bro, and homie, uh,
This
that's half
is
my
you. I
vocabulary.
read 110 books a year and I'm a teacher, but bro, low key,
I
I
don't
love
want to
it.
be on 100% of the time. It's
I
so
love it.
exhausting.
That part is
I
true
throw
too,
dog in
right?
there too.
So let
I
me
throw
ask you
dog in
this,
there.
because this is
Yeah.
another great question. We're just
Yeah.
unpacking so much here. I love this. All right. So being on 100% of the time, right? Are you trying to be, can't take you seriously when you're drinking like that. Uh,
It's got a straw in it. Leave me alone. I love my Awala. Get
I
out.
was getting used to the apple juice and then something else came up. I'm like, what's going on here?
But it's gone.
Okay. You're drinking faster than I am. I still have a third of a can of Mountain Dew.
Well,
Um,
I was very dehydrated when I got out of the car, so it's
yeah,
okay.
that's important. Um, being your best self on a
Yes.
date, like what
Yeah.
what is the level of that reality? Because I know you like to put forward the real you, right? That's important to you. Authentication is important to you, right? What's the level of being Miss Perfect versus being Miss Real?
So I would
And does
offer
that vary from date to date and person to person?
I would offer that I, contrary to your suggestion, never think that I am a perfect human being. I beat myself up a lot more than I think I let on. And that's just like an inner battle that I constantly get to wage, right? I made a joke to one of my friends like a month and a half ago. I was like, I can't schedule a date with a man until like the day before because I get stress acne. Like going into a first date, I freak because I'm like, oh my God, what if this man hates me, right? And the reality of the matter is okay, if he hates me, I never have to talk to him again.
Right.
Um, I understand that up here, right, in my
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
always understand that in my heart.
Yeah.
So I think part of it for me is like not being too on my game, right? Like if I have a response for everything, I don't want to feel like I have to fill every silence, right? Like I
Yeah.
think that there's weight in silence and figuring out early on if somebody can handle like sitting in quiet and if it's awkward or if it's uncomfortable or if they're willing to do something about those things, that gives me a lot of insight. So I will offer spoiler alert, we're going to get to the fact that I am probably going on a date tomorrow. Um, I have already texted my best friend and I said, OMG, blank asked me out. What do I wear? Here's what we're doing. Here's the vibe that I'm going for. You're going to love this, sassy britches over there. I asked ChatGPT, what do I wear? Right?
Oh yeah.
I'm cross-referencing my sources.
And how together was ChatGPT with the advice of your friend?
My friend hasn't texted me back yet.
Okay.
So ChatGPT was quicker.
Okay.
However, she knows more about the contents of my closet, so I think there's
Hmm.
going to be a little bit of a discrepancy.
Right.
And immediately went into how am I getting there? What does that piece look like? I am the kind of person I fret a lot more going into a date.
Yeah.
The second I'm in somebody's presence, I'm like, oh God, why was I nervous?
Right.
This is either going to go or it's
Yeah. But
not. And I'm
you're
going
a
to
people person, right? And so
literally,
you're
yeah,
personable and you're a people person. So that's actually the easy part for you. It's
yeah.
okay, exactly what you just said, right? Where am I going? If it's somewhere to eat, what's on the menu? How am I going to
Yes.
research that?
How
What
do
does
I
the
not
place look
eat something
like? Yeah.
disgusting?
These are all
My
the
dad,
things that
my dad tells me all
everybody
the
with blind
time.
and low vision have to deal with, right? And so it's all
Mhm.
relevant, so relevant. And I do think like we do an enormous amount of research
We do.
before we go anywhere. I am like an online fiend. I know so many online menus that it's crazy. And
Yeah.
I will make a determination on where I go based off what the menu is before I even get to the place. I never just go to a place and say, oh, I wonder what's going to be on the menu because I've already researched it, right? I know like the layout of if I can see photos, get familiar with the layout. When I went to the US Open last year for the US blind tennis demonstration that we did, I actually YouTubed the subway trip from the station in Times Square all the way out to Queens, where the stadium was,
See,
so that
I
I
don't
could,
put in that much effort. The videos
yeah,
and the pictures would not help me enough.
right,
But I
yeah,
will usually ask someone,
right.
this is where you're gonna laugh at me. Like I literally will ask someone like, are we huggers upon sight? Are we high fivers? Are we fit? Like, what's the
Wait, you
vibe
need
to
to
start
check
this?
that out before you go on the date.
I
Like, it's
literally
not
will text
natural.
somebody. First of all, it's kind of funny, right? Because most people are like, you're an idiot. Of course, I'm going to give you a hug,
Are
right?
you a hugger?
But here's my thing. Do you know how awkward it is if somebody doesn't go in for a hug when you go in for a hug, or somebody goes in for a hug when you don't? It's
Right,
just,
but isn't that when the date's over straight away? I mean, come on. There has to be, I don't know, I'm a bit of an old spontaneous type of person, right? I like to see the vibe before I commit. So if the vibe's really off, then maybe I don't want to hug them. And they're like, oh, come here and like come in, and I'm like, actually, so
I
much.
need you to like have an awkward Tammy, what was our first date like? Where you ask, did we hug? Um,
Well, let me tell you about Temi. We met online as a
yes,
starting point, and
because
then
she
we
wanted an
talked.
Australian man.
She did. She wanted an Australian. She always wanted to come to Australia. I'm a fantastic tour guide, obviously,
Hmm.
because
Yeah. And a humble one too.
yeah, most of the time, not really. But like um, we talked on the phone. The first, it used to be
Yes.
like phone etiquette, right? That used to be actually like the kicker. So one day she contacted me. I told her that I was going to be home at a certain point, and I was at a friend's, and I stayed at my friend's and didn't come home, and we didn't have cell phones, so she couldn't call me. She left 12 voicemails for me, right? Inquiring where I
12?
was. And let me tell you, if we can
I'm sorry.
get
No, no, no,
past,
no, 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 no. 12?
yeah, it wasn't good.
Unmatched.
Yeah,
Swipe left. Tammy, that's a red
yet,
flag.
yet, yet,
Oh,
I'm a patient man. We went through a little bit of a turbulent period after that where I said, we've only been talking for like 3 weeks. Probably 12 voicemails is a little bit too much.
I'd max out at two, if
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it wasn't great. But
Oh,
she
Tammy.
professed that she was worried about me, and so like okay,
Yeah.
it was my fault. I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and I did tell her I would be there. So I
Yeah.
kind of get it. But they're the
Yeah.
things that are like everybody has their red flags, right?
Yes.
So we're going to jump forward
Okay.
into the present, and you
Yes.
are going to tell me of the people that you have talked to and not even met, maybe, what have been some of the red flags that have been too much to bear?
I love this question. Okay,
I
so
love hearing it. It's my cheap entertainment for a Friday
I'm
afternoon.
gonna give you the highlight reel, and this is a combo of men that I've met and men that I haven't.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming in strong with the first man whose opening line was a direct like relation to something that I put in my post. And in the same message, he goes, Also, are you blind? Like, it's right in there. And I was like, yeah, I am. How's your day? Right? Like, it was the most awkward way to start this car. We matched for like a day, and then I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Um, a man who can't use punctuation at all in text messages drives me like, I'm sorry, I use a screen reader. If you send me an entire message that's got multiple sentences in it and you don't use a single comma or period or exclamation point or comma or anything, and then you just expect me to be able to process what you're saying and blah, 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 blah. Nope, had to get rid of him. I had a grown
Oh, funny stuff.
man. Um, I at one point, okay, so I am a like I'm a physical person in that like if you want to sit down next to me and you want to put your hand on my knee, right? Like doesn't bug me, whatever.
Yeah,
But the second that I've had like too much physical contact, like I need to be able to say to you like respectfully, like, bro, you're in my bubble, and as much as I
yeah,
love you, this is my bubble. Please get out of my bubble.
right.
And again, going back to this communication piece, I probably didn't communicate this as well as I should have, full disclosure.
Hmm. Yeah,
I basically said to this man, like, I need to know how to say to you, this is some quiet time, or like I need to be in my own space for a little while without hurting your feelings. How do I do that? And when I say that this grown man pulled his hood up and would not talk to me about this subject for an hour and 15 minutes, and then
keeper.
like went on texting me for like 2 days pretending like nothing happened. Murray, I eventually got to the point where
Whoa.
I was like, bro, are we just not talking about this? And he's like, well, you were, well, and he called me names. And I was like, yeah, this doesn't work for me anymore. I'm done. And he was like, I think getting out of this, backing out of this too early is a big mistake. And I was like, cool, my mistake to make. See ya. Right? Like, texted me like a week later and was like, I've been doing some thinking and I've
Was
reflected
that?
and
I
I
just want to
think,
ask you one question. Is that
what?
his real voice, or are you
No.
making him sound
I'm
completely
making him sound
different?
dumber.
Yeah,
I'm making him sound dumber, but that's my prerogative because
yeah.
I went on 3 dates with this man and I deserved better.
Right.
The skinny is he essentially said he started to do really well and he was like, I've learned from my mistake and blah blah blah. I should have done this instead. And then he still tried to gaslight me into thinking that it was my fault. And I literally got so mad. I texted him back at like 2 in the morning and I said, um, thanks for sharing this with me. I'm glad you learned something. And I've not talked to him since.
And how
So
did that make you feel, Lizzie?
I I was so done with men, Murray.
Me
Like at
too.
that point, I literally thought about deleting Hinge. I have contemplated seriously deleting Hinge twice in
Okay,
the
how long have
last
you been
3 months.
back on there?
I got on at the end of December.
Okay, so that's not a great thing, right? When you've seriously considered deleting the app twice in what, 3 months, four
Yes,
months?
almost 3 months.
Yeah, that's
See,
not a
but
good
here's my thing
ratio.
is I have to decide what I'm willing to put up with. And part of it is I don't like to hurt people, right? So I might be having like a really crummy time talking to somebody. I don't like being the person who's just like unmatched by, right? Like I don't like the lack of closure. So
Yeah,
I try and like let things peter out so that it's like a gentle letdown. But we're not done with my red flags yet. Calm down,
yeah.
calm down,
Okay,
calm down.
okay.
Okay. Um, I did have a love bomber. I absolutely had a love bomber who after one date was like, I would like us to be exclusive. And I was like, I would like to not have this conversation. Um, and long story short, he texted me the next morning and was like, I was being really overly dramatic. And I was like, well, yeah, but I can't tell you that. And we more or less got to the point where he was like, no, if I'm into you, I just need to be into you. And I was like, okay, I'm glad we had this talk. I think I've already decided this is a red flag for me. Um,
Okay, hang on. So let's just unpack this a little bit. I feel like I'm your. It's great. You would love to have me as a therapist. Um,
You would be terrible for me as a therapist because you'd be like, and how did that make you feel? And I'd be like, I've been talking about my anger for 30 minutes. What do you think?
all right, layered question. You said that you couldn't tell him that, and then you said that you really want someone who is into you, but then when they're into you, you don't like that either. Is this a specific case, or is this just in general?
I think there's a healthy balance. The way that I figured out in this instance, I think this guy was really just in love with love. I
Hmm.
don't think it was like a me specific thing. I think he
Right.
just
He just
wanted to
wanted the
like,
feelings.
yeah, which is fine. Like if that's his vibe, I could physically die from having somebody that obsessed with me. It would feel incredibly smothering to me. Like I am the person that's like, oh, my best friend needs me. Sorry, babe, I know we're on a date. In the exact same way that I would expect him to be like, hey, one of my homies is going through something really traumatic. Can we reschedule? I would expect that in a partner, right?
Right.
Not all the time, not every date, obviously. But having that exchange is really important.
Sure.
I think there's a balance, and I haven't found the balance yet.
What do you think the balance is?
Um, Somebody who puts in effort, not because they feel like they have to, but because they feel like they want to, in a way that makes me feel appreciated without feeling overwhelmed by their affection, right?
That
It's
is, yeah, that's
and
a
vice
good point.
versa.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because that is different from everybody for everybody, right? And that's the uncommon denominator of love is
Yep.
like, how does it make you feel, and
Yep.
how do you want to feel, right? And
Yeah.
at some points, it gets too scary, or it gets like too, like you said, smothering. What's
Yeah.
that balance, right? And I think like that's hard to find because parts of us are really lonely. And so when we find somebody who we click with, right, then it's really easy to just like, okay, I really like feeling like this. And this person makes me feel like this. So that's really cool, right? Let's have some more of that. And then you're actually, what you just said is true. Then you're in love with the feeling of the way it makes you feel
Yes.
rather than with the person. And that is very easy to do.
Yes. So case in point, I'll give you a textual example. I would not, I'm not name dropping any of these people because if it doesn't work out for me, I'm not willing to be tied to
Right.
any of these men forever. I am talking to somebody right now. This is a person that I'm probably going on a date with tomorrow. Um, so the elusive concept that men either seemed to like cling on to for dear life or never understand is this like ethereal, like good morning text, right? Okay. First of all, don't send it to me unless it's something you want to do. Like I want no obligation of a good morning text. If you're actually thinking about me when you wake up in the morning, great, fine, dandy. I also don't need to be 100% in contact with people all the time. Um, so I'm talking to this guy right now who had a friend come into town a couple weeks ago. He didn't ghost me for like 3 days, but he did say like, "Hey, I've got a friend coming into town for the weekend. It's one of my buddies from college. If my texts are slower, that's why, right?"
Yeah.
So it was taking the time to be like, "Hey, I don't want you to think that I'm forgetting about you. I don't want
Yeah.
you to think that I don't care." But it's
But
also
that's
not
good
like
communication, right? That's what we were talking
exactly.
about
It's
before.
also not like, "Hey babe, is this okay?" Like no, man up. Don't ask me for permission to hang out with
Right.
your friends,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Draw the line, have the boundary. Great, have a wonderful time. So then when his friend was in town, if I did hear from him, and I did, he asked me like the most random questions. It was hilarious. I was like, okay, he is clearly thinking about me, right? Whether it's for a message on a Friday and then, one on Saturday and then he kind of falls back into earth, on Sunday and I talk to him a little bit more regularly. Great. I'm fairly certain when his friend left, he called me for 2 hours on that Sunday and just like talked to me, right?
Yeah.
That's another hard line I draw. I don't think I could go out with a man without hearing his voice first because voices, if I don't like your voice, I'm never going to be able to get past it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's an attractive thing to my ears if you have a
Yeah.
nice voice.
Uh,
Um,
it's different things for different people, right? I think
yeah,
that's again what makes the world go around, right? Is like different people like different things and different combinations. That's important. Whatever's important to you as a person is important to you and shouldn't be diminished, right? And so again, when you're thinking about, okay, well, this person has 90% or 80% of everything that I'm looking for,
yep.
okay, then don't focus on the 20%. Think about how the 80% makes you feel whole or gives you what you need, right?
And if you can overlook the 20%.
Right.
Like honestly, I think having that conversation, like again, if somebody's voice was unpleasant to my ears, that's not something I can love them through, right? Like
Sure.
it's not something that it's not fair for me to be like, could you like go through puberty again? Like that's not something that I can ask them to do. Not
Right.
really gonna ask them to like use a voice modulator for the rest of their lives. That's not fair.
Well,
Um,
now there's so many different voices online, you can make yourself sound like anybody.
I don't think Alex from voiceover really does it for me
No?
personally.
All right.
No.
Oh.
Okay. Yellow flags. Okay.
Yellow flags. Okay. I'm too old for this stuff. So give me a heads up on a yellow flag. Is this like
These are the
lights, traffic
cautions.
light system? Is that what this is?
This is like red flags are like, whoop, nope, gotta
Yeah.
go. Green flags are
Yellow
like,
flags are
yes,
like,
meet my mom.
prepare to
Yellow
stop.
flags are like, oof, I gotta watch out for this, but it's
Right.
not a deal breaker
Prepare to
yet.
stop. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Murray, he has frogs.
Yeah. So when you texted me today and you told me that you're on this epic road trip and your dad has the prostate issues, uh,
Stop!
I said you just currently like the next message was, oh yeah, I'm gonna date a guy and he's like, maybe he's
No, no,
got
no, no, no.
frogs.
I said I
Oh, I'm gonna go
matched
out.
with
Yeah.
somebody
Okay.
who has
You
frogs.
might go out with someone, but he has frogs. And my first thought was Prince Charming. You're gonna kiss the frog to get the prince.
Yeah, and my first thought is that man's pet could leap at me without my permission.
Either way, it's probably a win-win.
Yellow
just,
flag.
just on different levels, right?
Yellow
Okay,
flag.
so I'm not going to stereotype here because that's wrong, but I might just breach the topic. Typically, people who have amphibians and have them as pets, probably not the mainstream guy that you might be looking for. So, yellow flag for sure, but
Yellow
could
flag.
quickly be a red flag and just be safe.
Okay. I understand. I understand. He's not even at the top of the list right now, so we're good. I
And if
find
he's listening to this podcast in 3 years, you know who you are.
it's that's how you know it's love.
He's
It's my
not
love.
even at the top of the list. That's such a throwaway line for someone that you're going to go and meet. That's
Dude, no,
that's a
this is
cruel thing
iconic.
to say.
I was talking to somebody the other day who told me, he's like, yeah, like I also have the conversation with people in part because of my love bomber, right?
Right.
I say like I want to be very transparent with people like, hey, this is a dating app, like I'm talking to multiple people. You're more than welcome to talk to multiple people until one of us broaches the conversation of like this is just a you and me thing. I don't want anybody else in the equation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
What's the
I will tell
quickest?
you,
What's the quickest that you've ever felt about someone like that on a dating app?
it hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
I mean, like, I get inklings where I'm like, okay, I could just talk to this person for a while. I'm not gonna like actively engage with a bunch of other people or like some of my matches like peter out. But like, I don't, I've never like turned off my Hinge notifications for a guy.
Here's another question. When you're out with somebody, are you thinking about another hinged person when you're out with somebody? The answer to that is yes, I can see it.
So, no, I'm thinking because I've only met two different dudes from Hinge.
Okay.
The first guy that I met online, who turned out to be very immature, I would
Mhm.
say no, I wasn't really thinking about anybody else when I was with him,
Okay.
when I was in his presence.
Are you, follow-up question, are you comparing somebody who you're talking to before you've met them with another hinged person? So it's kind of like, okay, I
Oh,
got three guys on the
110%.
hook,
Yes.
and yes,
Yes.
I'm equating your
I
conversation
have
to this person's conversation,
rankings. I
right?
have rankings of like, okay, this is my first choice, this is my second choice, this is my third choice. My
Right.
mom puts in her opinions, my best friend
Yeah,
has her opinions.
right.
No shame. No shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Now, let me ask you this broadly.
Wait, no, we have to finish the first question that you asked
Okay.
me.
All right. Just
Okay,
any
so then
question.
the second dude, the love bomber,
Yeah.
yes, I was nervous that one of my other Hinge men was gonna text me while I was on a date with him. So I
Right.
was thinking about other guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a recommendation from
Silence my notifications.
an old online data. If you're on a date with somebody, best turn your Hinge app to private. Okay.
Well, here's my thing though, is some of them have my number. So they're like texting me. So like
Yeah.
even if my Hinge, I will tell you, and I think this is like a red flag now that I'm on the other side of it. The first dude that I met from Hinge wanted, like he wanted, not like in a creepy, like possessive way, but like he was curious. He wanted to look through my Hinge
Yeah.
to like see who I was
That's
talking,
a
and I
lot of
let him. I didn't
insecurity.
care.
What I would say to that
Yeah.
guy. Like, yeah,
Again,
you've
now
got
that
a
I'm on the
lot
other
more
side of it.
insecurity than I need.
Yeah. Now that I let him, it was
You
fine.
let him?
I didn't care.
Wow. Okay. That's
I
some
didn't care.
that's some brave shit right there.
I didn't care.
How
Like,
did you
here's
know that
my
he
thing.
wasn't like going to react and blow up about like being this jealous fanatic guy that was like, "Oh, you're saying this, you're doing this, this guy,
He was
really?"
only like an inch or two taller than me. I could have taken him.
Okay, let me just ask you a question. Did he comment about anything that was on your Hinged account when he looked through it?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, at least he
yeah.
didn't internalize. That's a good sign.
He's fine. He
He's
he
fine.
called me a bunch of names and like vaguely gaslit me after the facts. Like we don't really care about his feelings.
Okay, good job.
Okay. So what's your other question? You
All
said your
right,
broader question.
this is a big one, right?
Yep.
Because you yourself have said this. You need to be friends with somebody before you can have a lasting relationship with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So the question begs, is it easier to actually be with a friend who you know and have worked out maybe 50 to 75% of what's good and bad about that person, as opposed to going cold turkey and being on an app where you don't know anything about anybody?
I really don't know the answer to that question, specifically because, like I told you, I've never successfully dated somebody who wasn't my friend first. But like,
Mm,
here's the thing to reflect on. I'm also still dating, so clearly dating my friends isn't a perfect solution either.
mm,
I
that's true.
mean, I think there's give and take to it. People always say like, "Oh, I married my best friend." And I think it's hilarious because like a lot of people don't know. I think they marry the person who becomes their best friend. I
I
don't
agree
think
with that.
I don't think they marry their best. Like my parents, when they met, they started dating. Like my dad asked my mom out the first day they met.
Right.
My dad is probably one of my mom's best friends, but he wasn't when they first met. Like it
Yeah.
takes time. So I think there's more to that. It's not like the traditional, like in romance, it's the friends to lovers trope, right? Like
Right.
I don't think that's every successful relationship to ever happen.
Yeah.
I also think that there's some merit to demystifying, right? I have dated my friends. I have one ex right now, and there's part of me that's like, bro, watch this podcast, I dare you. And you know this person, right?
Oh,
Um, he goes through bouts where he's like, okay, I want to be your friend. And then he's like, just kidding, I fell for you again. I can't do this. And I'm like, get out of my life. Like I can't handle the whiplash of
right.
of whatever this is. And it sucks because it's like, dude, you are my friend, but if you can't handle that, I'm not willing to let you put me through this emotional crap
Yeah.
on repeat. Like that's trash. I've got exes who I absolutely love to death, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the right person, wrong time,
Yeah.
right? I don't I don't have the ability to be friends with them right now because it physically hurts my heart too much. There's some people out there who would say, well, then you're not ready to be in a new relationship. No, I don't think that that's accurate because I have drawn the boundary. I'm not texting my ex every day to be like, oh my God, like, hi, how are you? Or like, can you believe this crazy thing on Hinge that happened to me? Right? Like, I'm not
You're not
leaning
testing the
on that
water with them?
person. No, I have not let any of my exes into my Hinge,
That's a good thing.
nor will I.
Yeah, okay, you're on the money there.
No.
Okay,
Well,
I'm going to
so
tackle
it's
it from the other side now, okay, and
yeah.
say in a long term marriage lately, what I've seen is that people are attracted to people who they come into contact with who show the best versions of themselves. And maybe they're not happy in their long term relationship, right? And so the other thing happens is that, like you were saying before, you're in love with the feeling of attention. You're in love with the feeling of something new. You're in love with the fact that, this person is showing their best side of themselves, not necessarily in a relationship begging term, but all the things that you hate about your current circumstance, you think are going to go away with this new situation. And that's equally as destructive as what we were just talking about in the new environment. And so I see that a lot as well. And like being on social media a lot, you just like get close to people's situations, and for some reason, people feel comfortable in a community to kind of be a little bit more out there. And I'm a people person, right? So I have always been a people person, and I love it. Like I love to see the dynamics of people take place. And I am probably that psychologist without the psychology degree who thinks I kind of understand where you're at and what's going on here. Um,
Mhm.
and I just find it intriguing that, I see a lot of that as well in today's instance.
Yeah. I mean, it's very interesting to me that people are willing to put so much of themselves out on the internet. Like, this is the most transparent that I have been in regard to anything in relation to like my dating history.
Yeah,
Is our conversations here, right?
yeah,
I'm not the person who splices and dices things for TikTok or who
right.
takes my grievances to the internet or Facebook rants or anything like that.
Yeah,
But I think that, I mean, do what makes you happy. Just be ready to be held accountable
yeah,
for the fact that the internet is forever, right? I mean,
right.
we joke, but like the reality of the matter is the person that I could end up with, my best friend tells me I'm going to be single until I'm 40, which is probably when I'm going to decide I can put up with a man's crap for the rest of my life. And I tell her it's probably going to be 45. Um, but like
Long-term strategies. I love it, Lizzie.
if and when I do get to a point where I'm like, I do say to somebody like, "Hey, you should watch this podcast." Like, you might think it's funny, right? Or whatever. I'm very intentional about not name dropping and
Yeah,
giving personal information and doing that because it's just not a cute look for me. I think it makes me look bitter.
except for Frog.
Um, I didn't drop his name.
Well,
He
come
just
on. There's not too many men who have a frog collection. Okay.
okay. Well, if you find him, you let him know that I'm
Well, I'm
sincerely
not looking
sorry.
for him, first of all. But secondly, I'm just going to restate the point. There's not too many men who have frogs
Okay, well, whatever.
and who are on Hinge and who are
However,
dating you,
he's not dating me. We haven't gone out on
well,
a single date yet.
who's hinged with you. Is that how you say it?
He's
Hinged?
matched. We're matched on
Oh, you're
Hinge.
matched. I
Yeah.
kind of liked hinged. He's hinged to you,
I
like a
don't
door
I don't like that
with
because that
like
makes him sound like a piece of machinery.
hinged to.
Anyway, I would want in the exact same way that I would not want like myself name dropped, right? Like people can tell goofy stories of like the dumb stuff that I've done.
Yeah,
But like I would also hope that whoever I end up with, if he does exist, you know, he's comfortable with the things that I have shared.
yeah.
And frankly, by the time that he's watching this, if he is, he probably knows half of my horror stories off of Hinge anyway. So,
If he's listened to the whole 15 episodes and he still wants to date you, Lizzie, he's a keeper.
oh no, no, he's not watching this until we're married. Then it's too little,
Okay,
too late.
all right, good job. I can see it playing at your wedding night. He's
It's like at the
on the
rehearsal dinner,
first
and he's
date.
like, "Can I still get out of it? Can I
Okay,
still
the
get out of
first
it? No,
episode.
sucker." There's a Eliza Schlesinger comedy sketch. And at the very end of her Netflix special, she talks about how her now husband tells her all the time. He's like, babe, I love you and I'm really glad we're married, but like, could you go put on something sexier than basketball shorts? And she literally goes, "Ha, no, I got the ring, sucker." Like, I'm not gonna do that. So that's
There's a series out at the moment on TikTok that I've seen with like stick figures,
yeah.
and it's hilarious. Like I just laugh because it's funny and it's true. Like there was a woman who like the woman stick figure says to the man stick figure, like, how come you don't answer me when I like make a statement? And he's like, well, there's three reasons. One is I don't know really what you want me to say. Two, two, I whatever I'm going to say is going to be wrong. And three, I don't want you to physically hurt me. So they're the three reasons that I don't really respond to what you say in a statement. That's
There you
just
go.
one example of reality.
There you go.
It's
Yep. Pick your battles.
right.
See, but here's the other interesting thing, and this is maybe a green flag. We didn't really talk about green flags. This is maybe a green flag, albeit for the boy that I'm probably going on a date. The man, sorry,
Yeah.
dude.
Frog
That I'm
man.
going on a date with tomorrow.
Frog man.
Um, No,
You're a prince in waiting.
no, no, not Frogman, not Frogman.
Oh, wow. You're going on two
So
dates tomorrow?
no, I'm not going on a date with
You go back to
Frogman.
back? There you go.
Oh my gosh,
That's less
shut
amount
up,
of
or I'm
effort
not
to do
telling you stories anymore, okay?
back to back.
So my mom has always said you have to date men who are strong-willed because somebody has to be able to say no to you. And I always joke with guys that I meet on dating apps. I'm like, my two non-negotiables when we meet are you are meeting somebody from my life who could identify you in a lineup if I go missing, right? Doesn't have to be my dad. It could be my best friends, like whatever. It just somebody has to know what you look like in case I am unalived. And I'm taking a picture of your ID and I'm sending it to one of my best friends. Um, and like the first dude I met from Hinge was like, no big deal. Like, here's the picture. He met my friend Caitlin. It was fine. Second dude I met from Hinge literally picked me up at my house. He met my mom. And I forgot to get a picture of his ID, but like when I brought it up to him, he's like, oh, here you go. Like he literally just like picked it up and handed it to me.
Right.
Um, this dude from Hinge was like, Elizabeth, you know my middle name? You know where I go to church? I'm not I'm not letting you take a picture of my ID. Like there's no way. And I was like, oh, okay.
Identity theft, bro. We live in a world of identity theft.
It was just so funny
Come
that like
on.
that was his line. And I was like, good for you. Way to
Yeah.
say no, man.
Yeah, that's it. I will tell you that before Temmie, I did date a very strong-willed woman,
Hmm.
and we did not get along. We both liked each other.
No.
No, we definitely both liked each other, but we fought all the time
Yeah.
because we're both dominant people and we didn't want to give in, and it just did not work. And I really like her a lot. I think she's a great girl. But it just that the dynamic did not work at all. And I think most of the time, and I'll say most of the time because there's definitely exceptions to the rule, um, you have to have that degree of dominance and submission in a relationship to a degree in order to be able to function on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
I mean, it's the whole concept of opposites attract, right? You can't
Yeah,
have two people constantly fighting to be the center of attention. But I also think that there's like give and take in conversation, right? I have found a lot of success in dating guys who have very different interests than I do
yeah.
because like when I talk about the appropriate uses of a semicolon or the book that I've read most recently, their eyes are like, "Huh, she's so pretty,"
Glazing
right?
over.
And then when like I literally had a man bring up to me, I made a joke about teleportation,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Sorry, I'll get right on that, but this blah 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 technical science term and this blah 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 technical," and I was like, "Sorry, what? You're so pretty." My eyes glazed over and I was like, "Okay." But I mean, some of it is just like you have to have a sense of humor, right?
Yeah,
I can't date somebody who's not at least able to laugh at my jokes, let alone like make their own. Like when this dude who asked me out today, he's like, "Hey, since you're coming back to Iowa tomorrow, like you're done with vacation, do you want to go for a walk tomorrow?" And I said, "That depends. Are you gonna unalive me and leave me in the bushes somewhere?" And he was like, no, LOL." Like,
no,
like if you can't laugh at that,
right.
you're not gonna be able to hang,
You're
right? Like it's just
confronted by that, there's issues.
literally. Like my
But
favorite
it's so
TV show is
true.
Law and Order SVU, and I need
Right.
everybody to just be okay with that, you know,
Yeah.
bum bum. So
Bum bum. Um,
yeah.
so we're rolling along today, Lizzie. We're engaged in great conversation that's stimulating. I'm happy about it. But question I have for you is the
Yes.
classic question:
Oh boy.
what's most important, and does it change? So you mentioned sense of humor. Why are you internally laughing right now? Is it intelligence? Is it you're so pretty? Is it that connection, or is it a combination of things that lead to I must have you or I must not?
So I'm going to answer your second question first, and that was, does it change? And the answer is yes.
Mhm.
What I wanted in a guy at 15 is not what I wanted in a guy at 20, and that's not what I wanted in a guy at 25, and thank God that's not what I wanted in a man at 28, almost. Okay.
Almost.
Um, the two things, one of which is much more serious than the other, that I immediately swipe left on a guy for is I do not date men under 5'9". I can't do it. It's an insecurity of mine. Doesn't even matter if the man is like an absolute short king and can live his best life with me in 3-inch heels. Like
Short
I can't
king?
do it. A
Short
short king.
king?
Yeah, short king. That's a thing now. Look it up.
Okay.
Um, I've dated too many men who were 5'4" and acted like they were 5'2". Um, the other is if a man's profile says atheist or agnostic,
Yeah.
I can't do it. I have to have somebody who shares that value with me. Frankly, I go to church, I work at a Christian school. It is going to be a part of who I am as a person. And not to be overly dramatic, I think the simplest version of it is I don't want to be afraid of where you're going if
Yeah.
something happens to you, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just me. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Um, I think when you get past the initial, I do believe in God, I am a Christian, I have made the height, I'm tall enough to, I'm not going to say ride this ride because that's inappropriate. Um,
Yes,
I
that is
didn't, I
appropriate.
didn't think of an appropriate, I'm tall enough to get in, nope, I can't say that either. Anyway, um, then it becomes things like, uh, being able to have an ongoing conversation about something that matters to you. Um, Being able to have an ongoing conversation about something that matters to me. Um, Having a belief in yourself as a person and also in me as a person. Um, you know, as goofy as this sounds, another tangible example for you. Um, I think gun safety is really important. As a woman from a rural state, I've been around guns my entire life, but my dad never really bought into the idea of teaching me how to use them. He would take me out every once in a while, like if he took my mom and my brother. But like I've asked my dad to take me to gun ranges, and my dad's like, no, I'm not doing that, right? I've talked to two different guys who are like, oh yeah, I think that that's super important. Like if you want to learn, I'll 1,000% teach you.
Mm,
And the fact that they're not like, but babe, you can't see, right? Like
right.
that's really important. I don't need somebody else's limitations imposed on me as a person.
Okay, I've got a gun story for you that I think
Yes.
you'll be
If
impressed with.
you flex your guns at me, I'm gonna throw
Yeah,
up, just so you know.
I am not going to do that.
Okay, good.
But I don't want you to throw up on camera. That wouldn't be good. But my brother-in-law, actually, my whole in-laws are massive guns people, right? And so,
One that I
like,
know? No, no, no.
uh,
Sorry, that's your brother-in-law, your sister's husband.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
not Christian.
Tam as
Um,
well.
although he
Sibling.
does love to shoot guns, but he's Australian, so he can't. Sorry about that. Um, in Australia, we don't have guns. We're not allowed to have guns. Guns are
Yes.
not right. And in America, obviously, guns are everywhere, right? You used to be
Yep.
able to go down to Walmart and just buy a gun and whatever.
Hmm.
So when I came here, I had never shot a gun before. I'd never held a gun before. And
Hmm.
then my brother-in-law has a number of guns and goes shooting often and said,
Yeah.
hey, Murray, would you like to go shooting? So I was like, yeah, okay, it's an experience I haven't done before. I'm open to that. And so he has an AR-15 with a laser scope, and I
Oh
was hitting
Lord.
cans with this laser scope from like 200 meters away, like a can, right? So I
Yeah.
immediately thought, oh, I'm pretty good at this. I don't mind hitting these cans and blowing them into the air about 15 feet. That's kind of fun. But recently, we went camping together, and he introduced skeet shooting, right? And I don't know if you know what skeets are, but like they're things that release in the air and then you shoot at them, right? So
It's like the clay pigeon thing, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought there's no effing way that I am going to hit this thing, right? And I said when they all tried it, and none of them really hit it except for the brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And he's like, or just have a go, just have a go.
Yeah.
Something you can just do. I'm like, all right, but there's no probably chance of it. The first
Were
one,
you
Lizzie,
super good at
the
it?
first one, I smashed it in half, and then I hit three more. And everybody is standing around going, what the? Are you
You're a
really,
fake
like,
blind
are you
person.
really
You're
blind?
sighted.
But what I did was I could see the clay thing go up in the air, and then I just basically all timing thought, okay, it's going to fall at this level, and I'm going to shoot here, and I hit them, and it's
Yep.
more of like a
It's
adjustment thing.
strategy. Yeah.
And I was just like, amazed that I did so well. But it's
There you go.
that's a thing. Like, we limit ourselves so much for like not being or growing up in a certain thing and doing a certain thing,
Yeah.
and then trying something. And you've got to occasionally just take yourself out of your comfort zone and actually just enjoy it rather than to be good at it. We say
Yeah.
this about tennis all the time, right? And you'll find out because you're going to run the tennis thing at the Iowa State
Woo!
Convention. You go,
Yeah,
girl.
tennis.
But you don't have to be an athlete or great coordination or balance to be able to play tennis and hit a
Oh,
ball.
thank God. I might actually be able
Well,
to
I
do
know
it.
you do not.
Whew.
You know, it's that movement across the stage, Lizzie, that's going to be great for you. You're going to be perfect.
Perfect. I want to be
But
so fit.
you know, I ran a tennis session in Las Vegas on Wednesday morning, and I
Mhm.
had a guy that was nearly a totally blind guy who is not athletic at all and hates everything. And he got out on court, and I'm like, all right, we're going to do this court orientation. Drew, you're going to run to the net, you're going to sidestep along the net holding it, you're going to run back. And he did fantastic at it. And I was like so impressed that he was just willing to do it,
Yeah.
and it's like, I think like that's what we're talking about with this dating stuff, right? Is like
Yeah.
you can sit alone at home and be depressed about all the things that are wrong with you,
Mhm.
or you can put yourself out there and give it a chance, and you might meet 1,000 frogs before you meet your prince.
I was literally just gonna say, gotta kiss a couple frogs before you find your
Yeah,
prince.
but putting yourself out there will help you get you a better perspective about what you need to work on. And it goes back to our original point, right? Is like we all have things that we've got to work on. The most confident person in the world is still like hates themselves about something. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who you are. We all love and hate things about ourselves, but putting you out there, putting you in situations that are uncomfortable, that's actually what makes you whole and what you can
Yeah.
work on and what you want to work on. And that's an
Yes.
individual situation. It's an individual thing, right?
Yeah. I have to toss out one other thing before we go into our
Mm-hmm.
resource share,
Yeah.
resources. Um, just
That
because I think
reminds
this
me of
is
the Brady Bunch. Don't I love Mum's applesauce?
I
Applesauce.
love mom's sauce. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Wow, what a circular moment. I do think it's super essential to say this. And this is something that I'm experiencing right now, which is why it's really at the forefront of my mind. Um, Dating is not a comparison game. In that if you are in a new relationship, or if you are not in a relationship, or if you are 2 years into a relationship and you are unhappy, you can look around and you can see people who are at the exact same stage as you, i.e., new relationship, no relationship, 2 years in. Don't waste your time comparing where you are to where they are because you are a different person. Your partner is a different person. Every relationship is different. And if you are sitting here thinking, well, she talked to her guy for an hour and a half yesterday, and I've barely gotten a text from mine, and they've only known each other a week and a half longer than I've known him, and blah, blah, blah. You are just setting yourself up to be miserable. And it's not worth it, right? Like be present, do yourself that justice, show your partner that respect, show yourself that respect.
Yeah.
don't
And
don't compare. It's just not worth it, and
no,
you're always going to end up bummed.
yeah. And I think, like if you're in a relationship where and you've said this a number of times, and I really respect this when you say this because I believe it. If you're not in a relationship where you are respected
Yep.
and you're valued, you're in the wrong relationship. And
Yep.
ultimately, only you know that, right? And it's a thing where you wake
Mhm.
up in the morning and you feel the stress, you feel the disapproval, you feel the distance. If all of those things are true and they're true and you've tried to fix them and they haven't been fixed, then you deserve something better, right? Because we can stay and think that that's the only thing that we deserve, or we can stay and think that, for whatever reason, we're not good enough for anybody else. That is a pit. That is a pit you do not want to be in, and that's a pit you need to get out of. And ultimately, that's going to start to affect other things in your life. If you're a mother, if you're a daughter, if you're a best friend to somebody, all those things are going to end up going away because of the way that the relationship is making you feel and the things that come out of that. So, you've got to be true to yourself. That is a big thing.
Yes. You are a puzzle. Don't let anybody take any of your necessary pieces.
That's right. Lizzie's all about puzzles. Have you done a puzzle recently, Lizzie?
I have one in process on my kitchen table right now. Yep.
Nice. Nice.
Noise. Kim. Kim,
Well,
it's noise.
nice. Um, I want to thank you, Lizzie, because you've been very vulnerable during this session. I feel like I have played the therapist role a little bit, but I think it's been fun. And I really appreciate your vulnerability and to tell us about your experiences. And we
Absolutely.
all hope that either of your two dates that you're considering
Can
for
you
tomorrow.
not? Stop. Okay, no, no, no. Let's clear this up real quick for people on the internet. I have one date tomorrow. It is not with Frogman. Okay. I'm not saying it's never gonna happen. It's probably not gonna happen. I'm not saying it's never gonna happen, but it's not happening with Frogman tomorrow.
How do you know if it's always going to be Frogman if you never kiss the frog to get the prince? That's my metaphor for Frogman.
Frogman and I
Okay.
have only been talking for like 2 days. Anyway, okay, we're moving on to the resource share. We're moving
Yeah.
on to the resource
Have
share.
you asked him how many frogs he actually has?
He has two.
Many,
He has two. TWO.
many, and
No, he has
why?
two.
Okay.
Oh,
Resource.
okay, so I talked about this once already. I think being able to laugh at yourself and laugh when you are unable to laugh at yourself are really important. So I actually went mini golfing with my dad on his birthday, my mom and my dad on my dad's birthday, and I wore this t-shirt, and on the back of the t-shirt it said "Hot girls like comedy." And it's actually from one of my favorite comedians. I'm not going to say who that is because people will roast me for it on the internet. However, a couple of really good ones if you don't mind a little bit of like crass language. Um, Eliza Schlesinger is one of the ones that I noted. Taylor Tomlinson is also another really funny one. They've got a
Taylor
ton of different.
Tomlinson is very funny. I just watched a
She's
either an
so
HBO or
funny.
Netflix special with her,
Netflix.
and
Yep.
she was refreshingly funny.
Yeah, and it's like 25 to 35-year-old women talking about how much it sucks to be a millennial, and I just think it's really hilarious.
Yeah.
So if you're into that, um, whatever your comedy preference is, go like don't be afraid to like let yourself laugh. Laughter is really good medicine. The one precursor I would give you is I always tell people don't go into any comedy, particularly live comedy, unless you are ready to be at least a little bit offended. Um, it's all in good fun. I think all comedy can cross a line pretty quickly. Know that it's not targeted at you, and if it is, we can have a whole different conversation. But listen to comedy specials, enjoy yourself, and learn to laugh at yourself and others. That's my resource of the day.
I have two things that I challenge people with today rather than a pure resource.
Okay.
One is along the lines of what you said, find something, can be anything at all, that makes you smile,
Hmm.
makes you laugh, and makes
Hmm.
you feel good about yourself, and that can be watching a stupid Elmo video with him going off about the stupidest things, right?
Have
I
you seen
said,
his bits lately about his beef with Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift had a rock in one of her most recent music videos, and Elmo apparently has beef with this rock named Rocco. So his whole shtick is like, Miss Taylor Swift, I thought you knew better. I thought you knew better, Miss Taylor Swift.
well, I know that you're going to be really pissed at Elmo if he's coming after Tay Tay, so I'm going to
No, it's
stay
funny.
I'm going to
I
stay
think it's
away from
funny.
that. One that did, really connect with me today was I saw a video where he's like, "All I want to do is sleep, and I got to get up and make money. F this shit."
You need
So
to work on your Elmo voice a little bit.
I know.
Yeah, you're a little too falsetto for him.
Funnily enough, my brother, my youngest brother in Australia, his nickname from his nieces and nephew is Uncle Elmo.
Uncle Elmo's my fave. Oh,
Yeah.
don't tell Christian I said that. Christian's my
Yeah.
fave, but that
And the
Uncle Elmo.
second thing I'm going to challenge people to do today is if you're in a relationship, go flirt with your partner. If you're not in a relationship, go flirt with a random person and make yourself feel like you're needed, like you're confident, like you've got the stuff to be able to feel comfortable and confident in yourself to flirt with somebody.
Okay. I'll see if I can embrace the flirting challenge. I'll see if I got
So
it in
you're
me.
going to get on the text with Frogman and say, "Hey, I want to find my prince. Where
No,
are you?
I'm not.
Where are you, Prince?"
No, I'm not. Okay, wait. So I have to tell you this just before we sign off because I think you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
So we've nicknamed. Apparently, men are like really afraid of women's girl group chats now. They
Yeah, because they're
literally are like,
vicious and
they're
nasty.
like,
And,
what
like
do
they
you
rip
call
you
me
apart
in?
as a
What do you call
male
me in the
person.
group chat?
I
Right?
can't tell
So
you how many times that you and Anne like demoralized me in a session one day when you're talking about, oh, male this and male that and white
okay,
privilege and
you
male
need to get
privilege.
off of my relationship with Anne and
Yeah,
stop being such a fragile, delicate man.
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm
So
like,
anyway,
yeah,
back to my story. This is about me,
sorry.
not you.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's what I'm talking about. That's why
now
men
that we've given
don't like the
Frogman his
female
nickname,
group
hey,
chats for
eyes
that
on me,
reason
one,
right
two, three.
there.
Eyes on me, one, two, three.
Okay.
Now that we've given Frogman his nickname, I have to tell you my nickname for this other guy that I'm actually going on a date with. So at one point he made a joke. He's a morning person, okay? And he told me, he's like, oh man, if I actually had to get up at 3 a.m. and I'm me
These
and I'm
voices,
funny.
dude, okay? These voices have to
Ah,
change.
I've
You're
never
all
been through.
about how men stereotype women,
Okay,
and look at what
sorry.
you're doing to every
Sorry,
single
you are
man that
correct.
you're interpreting
You
right
are correct. You are correct. I should not do that. I will refrain from the testosterone-filled voices. Okay.
now. Okay.
So he was texting me at one point and said if I actually had to get up at 3 a.m., that'd be killer. And I said, "Oh, what do you mean? Hard life working in the coal mines, right?" And he did not know that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, like the Seven Dwarfs, are coal miners. So I told him, I was like, I get to pick which dwarf you are. Mind you, this man is 5'11".
You
I was like,
realize that no dwarf names are flattering, right? When you made that.
trust me, I know. So I said, I get to pick which dwarf you are. And he was like, okay, bet. So I looked it up and I looked up all seven and I was like, yeah, I don't like any of these. So I came up with a new one and I said, I'm going with Pokey. And he goes, why? Why? And I said, because of your slow text response times.
Oh,
Roasted.
snap,
So now I literally call him Pokey, like
burn,
in our text messages. So
burn.
that's his nickname in the girl chat is
Right.
Pokey. So we've got Pokey
Okay.
and Frogman.
Is
Welcome to
that
the
because
girl
he
chat,
pokes
Murray.
at the screen like he's a pecker? Is that what
I
it
don't
is?
know. He uses an Android, so I don't really know if I can trust
Oh,
him yet.
well, first of all, you can't date anyone who uses an Android.
I
You have to,
literally, we actually had a conversation one time about the fact that I would never, mind you, I would never look through a partner's phone. Like if I don't have enough trust in you that I
right.
I can't look through your phone, like
Yeah.
there's
That's an
something off
essential
there.
thing. Yeah.
But I told him point blank, I was like, I wouldn't know the first thing about getting into your phone. So like live all the triple double lives you need, my guy.
What an invite.
And on that
You're
note,
every man's dream.
we're gonna wrap up episode 15
It's been a
of
lively one, Lizzie. We've gone for an hour and 40 minutes. We've had a
I
lot to
know.
talk about.
I'm so sorry, friends. I hope you were entertained by all
We
of
might have to
our
split this
Frogman
into
jokes.
two parts.
Low key, if you need to, pop off. So,
Yeah.
episode 15 or 16, whichever one you're ending with
Yeah.
us, we appreciate you listening and we hope you join us next time. Feel free to drop comments, either with the things that you do that are a response to Marie's challenges and or laughing, crying emojis, frog emojis,
Yes.
question
Lots of
marks,
frog
inquiries,
emojis into print
everything that
stickers.
you guys want to share with us. We're
Yeah.
we're ready to
We
hear and
we
we're
love it.
excited. So, join us
Remember,
next time.
remember to catch us video on YouTube and audio on Spotify and on Apple iTunes. And we will have this episode ready to go tonight, I believe, with Theo. So it'll be up and ready for your Saturday morning to get your weekend started the right way.
Oh, poor Theo.
It's going to be emotionally scarred watching this and editing
We
it.
love you, Theo.
Yeah, we love you, Theo. I see Theo. I'm seeing all the guys from Washington State. How about this, Lizzie? I finished my program after 3 months here on Thursday. I
Yep.
fly Thursday night to Seattle, and I'm doing a week-long workshop in Seattle.
There you
I
go.
am a glutton for punishment.
You're a busy man.
I am indeed. All right, thank you, Lizzie. Appreciate it. Good luck with your
Of
walks
course.
tomorrow and your kisses for princes. And we will see you in episode 16 or 17.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.